The opinions and suggestions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and are not necessarily endorsed by KRMG, Cox Media Group Incorporated, or the program sponsors. This following program is sponsored by Causeway LLC. Information in this broadcast is not intended as an investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Causeway LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa are not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Causeway LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk. Gather knowledge in the world of cryptocurrency right now on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Welcome to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Matthew is locally based right here in Tulsa. Questions, comments, concerns? Call 918-460-5764 or send us an open mic using the KRMG app. Now, here's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore.
And good Sunday evening to you. My name is Russell Mills, and this is Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. The boys have some big news this week, so thanks for tuning in. I know they're excited to share that with you. This is the show where we go digging for digital gold and clearing up some of the confusion, making sure that if you're going to jump into the world of cryptocurrencies, you do it safely and know what the heck you're doing. So we've got the guy who wrote the book, or one of the books, about all of this. He is our very own Matthew J. Moore. Good evening, Matt.
Hey, thank you, Russell, and welcome to all the crypto newbies, lovers, and experts. This is the place for you, the show for you. In fact, I am so pumped to be back in the saddle, thanks to my co-host Eric Cooper and Charlie Spears for manning the ship while I was gone. Eric, thank you so much. Eric is actually in studio with me as well.
Yeah, I wish I was on the moon. Maybe.
Yeah, you got your moon boots today?
Got the moon boots today.
All right, you're going to need them. I was just telling somebody earlier, it's so exciting to see the Bitcoin community grow in Tulsa. And I feel like every week that goes by and every day the price goes up, more and more people come talking to me about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But, Eric, you missed a great night at the monthly Bitcoin meetup that we had. I wish you could have been there.
Yeah, no, I do. We had a sitter fall through. So, you know what? Sometimes that happens. But you should tell me about this. What happened here?
Well, we had a unique topic. It's called Bitcoin Moon Math. And actually, in segment 2, we will be bringing on another OG Tulsa Bitcoiner. His name is Andrew Ryan, who was actually one of the presenters at this month's meetup. Really liked his content. He's a cool guy. But Andrew also has some credentials that I don't have, and to me, it sounds like a lot of people in Tulsa don't have. But he is a chartered financial analyst, CFA, who has also swallowed the orange pill, so also known as Bitcoin. I hope you have your moon boots because, Andrew is literally going to melt our face off with the information, the data, the opinions that he's going to bring to the table. And you know what? It's going to send us straight into orbit. Bitcoin is going to continue to go up, in my opinion.
I look forward to it because, again, we were talking right before the show started that, once you've been through an entire cycle, you're a little bit of an OG. So we're having a big year already, as you know. April is going to be the next Bitcoin conference down in Miami, and yours truly was able to get us little media credentials, so we're going to be able to go backstage and talk with the biggest names, and obviously as we do that, we're going to have sound clips. We're also going to be able to hook them up and bring some of them here. So it's April 6th through 9th, and if you're listening live and driving out there, so hello to all of our fabulous listeners, but also if you're checking us out after the fact, we're going to have a discount code up here before too long where you can save 10% on your registration for Bitcoin Miami 2022. Once again, April 6th through the 9th.
Bro, I literally have to tip my hat to you. I was so excited when I heard this because it's one thing to go to the conference.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a totally different experience going with the media credentials. I mean, the thing you got to realize is you have sun, you have ocean, you have Miami, which is just electrifying, but you have education, some of the best education in the space. You have networking. And it's the greatest party all mixed up into one. So this time we get to go backstage, rub necks with the biggest players in the industry. is going to be lit, man.
That's right.
It's going to be lit.
We also are going to have a lot of our Tulsa Bitcoiners. And again, if you've been listening to us and been pretty faithful, you've heard that Tulsa is becoming is a hub for Bitcoin. And so just like last time, be sure buy your tickets. Now you can either buy with the dirty or you can buy with Bitcoin. And so dirty fiat, that is. And so it is b.tc /conference. Also, you can probably check out, we're going to have once again a link coming up here pretty soon for it, and we'd love to have you guys out there with us too.
Right, yeah, just Google Bitcoin 2022. If you are interested or you deep in the space, it is the place to go. But would love it to see Tulsa invade Miami.
Yeah, and our upcoming guest, once again, Ryan is also runs the Tulsa Bitcoin and cryptocurrency page. So be sure to go up there and let us know if you're going to be coming to Miami in April.
And by the way, that is Miami, Florida.
Miami, not
Miami,
Miami,
Oklahoma. No,
cool as that would be.
That would
be pretty
run.
cool. And I'd like to see an international Bitcoin conference in Tulsa someday. But I can see why you might want to spend a few hours in Florida, I guess.
We know some people we can talk to, right?
Where is Rocklahoma at? Where
Pryor.
Pryor. Oh, okay.
Which is just a hop and a skip down the road. Right?
Yeah.
But not Miami.
But it ain't Miami, Florida. Okay, sorry, Pryor. But Rocklahoma is going to be awesome this year.
That's what I hear. So also some really big news that may continue to fuel this bull market that we're experiencing, the second leg of it. Coinbase, America's largest cryptocurrency exchange, plans to add over $500 million in crypto to its current holdings. And an article from CoinDesk stated that Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, wrote that the company had received board approval to basically add these additional assets to its balance sheet, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He also wrote that Coinbase will now invest 10% of all profit going forward into crypto assets. And he added that he expected the percentage to keep going up over time as the crypto economy matures. He added that he expected. Did you know this? Let me remind you of this. I don't know if you've heard this. This was older news, but they have a stockpile of $4.4 billion earlier this month, and they have a net income of $1.6 billion for the second quarter. So, yow.
What do you say? This Viva la Revolution. So yeah, that's huge news. Let's let the crypto revolution continue, because the total market capitalization for the crypto space it's just getting started, and just over what is $2 trillion in market cap. We've got a lot of room for growth.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And if you want to learn more about this space, if you want somebody to hold your hand, just had a meeting with a gentleman from North Carolina. I've met with people from Hawaii. I am literally somebody that will hold somebody's hand and walk them through the process as a consultant to help them get into the space, understand it, stay safe. So if that is of interest to you, maybe you're not so tech savvy, but you want to get in, go to mattjmoore.com and you can set up a consultation with me. You can also check out my Amazon best-selling book called Foundations for Liberty. And the second half of that book talks about the monetary system, because one thing that I really feel like people need to understand is this concept of money, where it comes from, how it gets its value, and how the system we use today is different than the systems that maybe we used when our country was started. So, you got to understand the problem before you can really understand the solution. So that's kind of been my mission as a Bitcoin evangelist, because I want people to understand that there's a lot that goes into it, whether it's technology, economics, philosophy, and it's a new space. And I think, back when the internet came out, people were like, is email internet? Is the internet email? Like, how does this work? And little did we know what extent that the internet was going to have on our everyday lives. And I think cryptocurrency is going to do just that. I mean, perfect example, Eric, when the .com boom, when everybody was in a frenzy investing in the internet age, right? The market capitalization was like $6.7 trillion. And that was primarily just American money. Yeah. So cryptocurrency is global. It's international. It's money from all over the world investing in these decentralized projects, which many of them don't have CEOs, don't have buildings to go to or companies that you can talk to. But these are all protocols. And I think the decentralized nature of finance. I was telling somebody earlier, we have a centralized system and a evolving decentralized system that's being birthed, and that is radically different than what we're used to.
There's so much more, and like I think I mentioned it last week is we're talking about Bitcoin quite a bit because that's the sexy thing is everybody
It's
making
kind of the
money.
standard, right?
Everybody knows it.
And so, but we get into again the NFT portion of it. I went to an art show, and that's going to change a simple art show at the Harweldon Mansion before too long.
Right.
I mean, it is right now, but you're going to see more and more of those.
Well, and this space is evolving so fast that just like the internet, I'm pretty sure, 100% certain, that the space is going to look a lot different here in the next few years than it has in the last few years.
Yep.
So, put on your learning caps, do some research, call me, or reach out to me on my website because you got to stay informed.
And that website for your information is mattjmoore.com. And that is spelled with 2 O's, like more, right? mattjmoore.com. You can also buy his book there. And by the way, if you've gotten behind on this show, or maybe you're just tuning in, all the podcasts are there for you at krmg.com. Just look in the on-demand section. Back with more Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. After a quick timeout, you're listening to 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Oh, welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa on what has been a brutally hot Sunday. My name is Russell Mills. Thank you very much for spending part of your evening with us. We are digging into the world of cryptocurrencies with a guy who knows a little bit about that, and he's about to introduce us to somebody who knows a lot about that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
Hey, and welcome, Tulsa. Welcome, crypto newbies, lovers, and experts. I hope you have your moon boots because we're going to take this rocket ship known as Bitcoin, and we're going to go straight to the moon. We're actually going to talk about why Bitcoin's price is going to continue to go up, in my opinion, and most likely in our guest's opinion. But we're going to kind of maybe talk about some hopium, maybe talk about some things that might get people excited just to imagine, okay, well, how does the math stack up? And I actually have my co-host, Eric Cooper, with me. He's here in studio. Welcome, Eric.
Welcome back. Hey, also, welcome back to the show, Matt. Sorry, I almost lost you there. I was had a little spin on my fold card to do. But if you guys are just joining us and this is your first time and you want to go back, Russell mentioned it right before the break, you can check us out, KRMG On Demand. We've got all of our almost all of our episodes there. And
Except the famous missing one.
we got to have the missing one because it's you just can't.
It was the
not have
best
it, right?
one ever.
Right.
And then also now we're on Spotify, but you
and
know,
iTunes.
If you seek, you shall find.
Right.
Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Twitter. We are pretty bullish about making sure that our content is out there. And you want to check that out.
Yeah, and like I said in the first segment, if you like what you hear, or maybe you want to learn more, or maybe you want somebody to kind of help you through the space, you can check me out at mattjmoore.com. That's more with 2 O's. I actually think the proper way to say my last name is Moore.
Moore.
Yeah, I think.
Moore?
Moore, right? Like almost like you're a cow.
Moore.
The rabbit holes of radio. But Matt, I think we need to go ahead and bring in our guest, Tulsa Bitcoiner and chartered financial analyst, Andrew Ryan. Andrew, welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Andrew Ryan. I was born and raised here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Spent a few years in St. Louis and even more in Pittsburgh, but I came back to Tulsa in 2005. And for the last 11 years, my day job has been as an independent commodity trader. I make markets in the natural gas futures markets. And
Did we lose you?
Nope.
There we go.
Okay. But what's relevant for this show is that I bought my first Bitcoin in 2013, and so
You're really an OG.
Am
like
I?
Original gangster, 2013. Yeah, you beat me to the punch.
Well, but I didn't know what I was doing back then. But it consumes my mind a lot just thinking about Bitcoin. So I wanted to share a few thoughts with everyone.
Yeah, and it's so good to have another homegrown, Tulsa individual here with us in studio.
And a CFA who's bound to have a different perspective from,
Right.
like me, who's just looking at it from a completely different world.
And correct me if I'm wrong or right here, but CFA, there's not a lot of people in Tulsa that hold those credentials, right?
My best estimate is there's probably about 50 people in Tulsa that have the CFA designation. maybe 120 in Oklahoma, something like that. So it takes about 1,000 hours of study to get. But I'm glad I have it.
That's
better you than me.
So, okay, before we dive into a lot of this, how basically how can people, connect or find the Facebook page? Because you manage the Facebook page.
Yes.
I want to grow the Tulsa community for, the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space. So, can you tell us a little bit about the page you manage?
Sure. It's on Facebook. The group is called Tulsa Bitcoin Meetup. And we try to meet together in person about once a month, and it's a social gathering. But we have speakers, and I think Charlie Spears, who comes on this show often, he co-founded the group with me.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
we just kind of work together and try and make it happen every month.
Well, so I'm curious because you obviously found it earlier than I did. I was class of 2017, early 2017, but I want to know your genesis story. Like, what got you into Bitcoin?
Okay, well, so I have a master's degree in computer engineering and an MBA, both from Carnegie Mellon. So I have the right background for it to pique my interest. So back in 2013, I was introduced to Bitcoin. I can't remember exactly who told me about it first, but I quickly became interested and jumped in and bought something just for fun, just to kind of see what was going on. And just for like history, in 2013, at the beginning of 2013, Bitcoin was trading at $15, and by the end, it had peaked at $1,100. So it had gone up 70x that year, and so that got people's interest. And I bought Bitcoin. My first Bitcoin purchase was at $800, and over the next 2 years, I lost 75% of my money.
Right.
So that's I think that's pretty normal. A lot of people, they get into this. Their first, baptism is losing a lot of money because it's a very volatile asset, but it's also that extreme volatility is just a constant theme for all of the history of Bitcoin. So it's just almost like you have to get through it. But I hung on, and so far so good, I guess.
Yeah, that curiosity hasn't killed the cat.
Yes.
So,
well, I think some people when they experience those losses, they curse Bitcoin and give up, and
lock in the losses permanently.
Yes, lock in
by selling,
exactly,
which is the exact wrong thing to do.
And so far, no one has wished they had locked in those losses. So yeah.
Right.
So what kind of reactions do you get when you talk to other financial experts about crypto, and does being a CFA actually help or can it hurt you?
Well, that's a great question. I think it's almost irrelevant. I love the CFA. I think let's step back. Let's just talk about financial advisors in general. They know a lot, but I think Bitcoin is such a paradigm shift that sometimes your education, sometimes your prior knowledge can make you not be interested in it or reject it outright without learning more about it. So.
Well, when you have conversations with people, like, is it negative, positive, like with people of who are of your same background or study?
Well, I do attend CFA meetings a few times a year. I think they're no different than everyone else. People in general over the years are becoming more and more educated and knowledgeable about what Bitcoin is and what it could be. So I'd say financial advisors are no different. That doesn't mean it's not a great designation to have, and I think it does. I think it has added to the depth of my knowledge, but it's certainly not necessary to.
Okay, well, I before we head to break, and we can continue this later on in the conversation, but many people have different ways of describing Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. It can often be hard because, there are many aspects to it. For example, it's both a money and it's both a payment network. And it's a sound hard money. But when somebody asks you, what is Bitcoin? Do you have an elevator speech or pitch that you give somebody?
Yes and no. I should have a better one. One way to describe Bitcoin is that it's a once in a 500 years technological breakthrough in stateless money.
Right.
I mean, that's a real simple way to put it, but you can also talk about it for hours. Without being too hyperbolic, I think you can put it in the same group as the invention of the internet, the invention of electricity, even the invention of the printing press. I think it's going to turn out to be that transformational to civilization.
I think that's fascinating because I've heard somebody say something similar in the sense that when history looks back, you're going to look at the invention of the computer, the internet, and blockchain technology, which makes Bitcoin possible. They're going to look back and they're going to see that as possibly one event in history or one era of history. Do you agree with that?
Well, how about even the reverse? Maybe in 50 years, they'll think that the internet existed for Bitcoin. You know, I mean, people right now, the internet, you could say it's a big use case of the internet is to watch cat videos. But maybe the internet will really, Bitcoin will be the main
Use
application of the internet.
That's fascinating. Yeah. A little curveball there.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this conversation and about Bitcoin is it makes you the philosophical and the futuristic thinking. It really is a stimulating topic. So I've
said it before. I remember when CB radios were the thing, and when the internet first came out, they were like, "Oh, this is CB radios. It's a fad.
All over again.
It's going to go away." Try to think of an aspect of your life right now that is untouched by the internet. I swear. Good luck with that. We're going to take a quick time out, get you caught up on the news and weather. You're listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. I'm Russell Mills. Thank you very much for spending part of your Sunday evening with us. It is brutally hot out there. You might as well stay inside by a nice, cool, air-conditioned radio and learn a little bit about cryptocurrencies and, non-fungible tokens and blockchain technology. But we're going to do it for you in English and make it understandable. And here's my translator, Matthew J. Moore. Good evening, Matt.
Hey, good evening. That's what I love. I try to do this in a layman's explanation. There's so much to it. We were talking about it earlier in a couple other segments, but I want to welcome you guys to the show because whether you're a millennial, maybe you're Gen Z, maybe you're a boomer, we're here to orange pill a lot of people. So we're gonna talk about Bitcoin. We're gonna go into orbit, and I hope you're ready. Strap in. I got my co-host with me, Eric Cooper. He's going along in this journey with me. Eric, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Matt? Back when we were first starting this whole thought process of let's do a radio show around Bitcoin and crypto, we talked about doing like a glossary segment, and so an orange pill. So once again, we say orange pill. We're referring to the old Matrix, but the orange pill is swallowing the Bitcoin, and so you go down the rabbit hole for that. So if you're joining us, once again, we appreciate you guys. It's hot. Stay inside, stay in your car, stay near air conditioning. But we're going to welcome back Tulsa Bitcoiner and chartered financial analyst Andrew Ryan. And the last segment, he was going over just his backstory. So, Andrew, once again, we welcome you back in and give us a brief synopsis of kind of who you are, what you do.
Okay. My name is Andrew Ryan. Tulsa native. I have a CFA designation, so somehow that got me on this show. But been in the Bitcoin industry or interested in it for 8 years. So
I know. I tell you what, it's so cool. Every day and every week and every month that goes by, I meet more and more people in Tulsa and get to know people in the Tulsa area who are just kind of coming out of the woodwork. And so I know I've ran into you a couple times, but it's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit better. But we had this topic at our last meetup that Charlie and you put together, which was this topic of Bitcoin moon math. We have so much growth potential in this whole ecosystem, this space. Let's start simple and talk global markets. What is the purpose of all this, the global financial markets, and how does Bitcoin fit into that?
Okay, so let's just step back and look at the big picture. What are the purpose of markets? There's a few, but the primary purpose of most markets is to match up those who have a surplus of capital, savers, and those who have a deficit of capital, which are usually companies or governments. So that's probably 3/4 of markets are basically trying to help savers know what to do with their money and use and preserve it. So what do savers want? They want to preserve their capital, and they want maybe a little income or appreciation to offset the effects of inflation. So they just want to keep their real purchasing power.
So when we talk about these markets, this makes up a bunch of asset classes. how does this, relate to the future growth of Bitcoin? Because we hear people talk about there's so much money in this asset class, there's so much money or liquidity in this asset class, and stuff is starting to funnel into Bitcoin. Actually, one of the talking points that we've heard a lot is that a lot of people a lot of money from the precious metal space is actually trickling over into the cryptocurrency space. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so let's look at where all the global wealth is. So you mentioned gold. All the value of all the gold above ground is approximately $12 trillion. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. But you start looking around and look at, for example, fiat currencies, physical cash, checking accounts, savings accounts, M1, M2, across the whole world. That might be close to $100 trillion. If you look at all the stock markets, all the equity markets in the world, in the U.S., Japan, Europe, so on and so forth, the value of all those companies is about $100 trillion. But we've only scratched the surface.
Right. I mean, in comparison, the whole cryptocurrency market space is just slightly above $2 trillion.
Correct. Yeah.
So we have
2 versus 12 versus 100 and 100. So
right. So we have a lot of potential, right?
Well, I haven't even mentioned the two biggest markets that in my research is the debt markets, which includes sovereign government bonds and corporate bonds. That right there is $250 trillion worth of value locked up in there. But an even bigger market that people don't think of, and it's kind of a slightly different market, is just the real estate market. The global real estate market is estimated to be worth about $280 trillion. So you add up all those, you get about $700 trillion of wealth total. That's what's sloshing around.
So, Andrew, what's going to drive the capital from the other asset classes into Bitcoin? What do you think the catalyst is going to be for that?
Well, my thesis is that Bitcoin is a better gold than gold. It's a better currency than fiat currencies. And it may suck a lot of capital out of the sovereign bond markets. It just seems like the sovereign bond market has kind of painted itself in a corner with low interest rates.
I would also go a step further. I don't know if you agree with this, but digital real estate. What Bitcoin and blockchain technology is like, you're staking a spot in a new evolving birthing of a new digital ecosystem or a new digital economy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I mentioned this earlier. So the .com boom, internet, people investing in the internet startups and the ideas of the internet, in the 90s and early 2000s, I think what cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is going to do is it's going to make that look like a picnic, because it was American money that primarily fueled that growth cycle for the internet. But cryptocurrency is a global opportunity, and there's a lot more global money involved in it. And if the total market cap at the top of that bubble was 6.7 trillion, and we're only at 2 trillion right now, and we're still early, again, that math means that we have a lot of potential upward momentum in the cryptocurrency space if adoption keeps growing the way we expect it to.
I totally agree with that. But there is a difference with Bitcoin. Well, so in the 90s, there were companies that, like Overstock and Pets.com and all that stuff. So there's companies, but you couldn't invest in the TCP/IP protocol. Mm-hmm. That's what really changed the world. Or you couldn't invest in the HTTP protocol. But Bitcoin allows you to actually buy a piece of the Bitcoin protocol, and Bitcoin really is the money protocol of the internet. And so, in a sense, you're able to invest in this boom in a way that you couldn't do in the 90s.
Can you think of any historic parallel that would help people understand this, like a metaphor for what is going on? Because, we're talking about, originally people bartered, right? They traded, I'll give you this 2 chickens, you give me your sheep. And then we eventually came up with currencies and, gold and other valuable things. And now we're making another switch. This switches into a world of electronics and ones and zeros that a lot of people find confusing and scary.
Absolutely.
So but how do we make it clear to people's minds, like, what is happening here? Is it replacing horses with cars? I was trying to think of a way to describe it where people would really get it.
Well, I think that our current monetary system, there's a lot of leakage through inflation, through the government printing money. It causes all kinds of bad knock-on effects. I think the current political polarization might be caused by bad money. I think maybe the inequality of the rich versus the poor and the rich getting richer, I think that's being caused by money printing. And so Bitcoin, as they say, fixes all that.
Well, one thing that somebody said, and it might have been you, Eric, last week, is that, hey, you know what? Fiat currencies, by their very definition, lose money. We call it inflation. Yeah. They lose purchasing power. You cannot buy with $1 today what you could buy 10 years ago.
Right.
Definitely not 100 years ago. So it's going down.
Yeah.
Whereas Bitcoin is going the other direction, right? That's the whole point, is that it's gaining value.
Well, and we haven't mentioned this, but this is the most important point of Bitcoin. If you don't remember anything, is that Bitcoin has a fixed capped supply of 21 million forever and ever. It'll never be more than 21 million, and that is such a transformational invention. Mankind has never known a fixed supply asset.
Right, because even with gold, they still when their demand goes up, the mining increases.
Yes,
and so gold is limited at more than fiat currencies, but Bitcoin is actually capped, and it's the first ability for us to have digital scarcity, and that's why it's hard for people to understand it.
Yes, and I love gold. I own gold, but it just can't compare to Bitcoin's hardness, and that's a weird thing to say about something that's totally digital, but it's hard in the sense that it's completely not inflatable. The supply is strictly limited. So in some sense, and what's interesting is not only is that the hardest asset that we've ever seen, you could argue it's going to be the hardest asset that mankind will ever see.
So, do you think it's unreasonable for Bitcoin to get half of gold's market cap? Currently, if we were to compare the world's currencies to Bitcoin and market capitalization, Bitcoin's currently sitting at like the 14th largest currency.
Mm-hmm. No, I think so. See, gold's market cap is 12 trillion. Can it get to 6? Absolutely. I think that's an easy one. And I'd be really surprised if it doesn't get there by the year 2025, if not earlier. So
if you did the math, if it did get half of gold's Bitcoin market capitalization, are we talking like a, $300,000-$400,000?
Yeah. So currently it's around 48,000. If it was half the market cap of gold, it'd be 315,000 per Bitcoin. So that's what is that? Less than 8x away.
Yeah. Well, and the comparison I make too is this is the opportunity to basically invest and buy a part of the internet. Like that's what I meant by the stake in the ground, the digital real estate. You're buying a protocol, right? Which you couldn't do in the 90s.
Yeah. You were asking for like a way to compare, but in some sense, there's nothing been like this in mankind's history.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk more about how Bitcoin gets to $10 million. Yes, theoretically, it is possible.
10 million.
10 million. You don't.
Okay,
you don't
and I want to know where I get my moon boots. I have been looking. I guess Amazon would be my. I guess I'll turn to that. Hey, we're going to take a quick time out, take a quick breath. We'll come right back with more of Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. You're listening to 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. I'm Russell Mills. Thank you very much for tuning in this evening, spending part of your Sunday with us. We do appreciate it. We don't have a lot of time in the fourth segment, and these guys got a lot to talk about, so we're just going to get right to it. Here is our host, Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
Hey, we are diving straight into it. We're jumping around up on the moon. So if you're with us, please join us. We're talking about Bitcoin. We're talking about adoption. We're talking about what it means for the world. And to do that, we actually have somebody in studio. His name is Andrew Ryan, and he is a chartered financial analyst. And he's going to talk to us about how potentially Bitcoin could get to $10 million a coin. Because theoretically, it is possible, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I'm in this.
Yeah, right. Well, so how do we do that? How does it get to that? I mean, we talked about the asset classes. We talk about, liquidity coming into the crypto space, how it's young, it's new, there's a lot of growth potential. How does the moon math, the Bitcoin moon math, what does that look like to get to that point?
So what we talked about earlier was the total addressable market. Like basically, if everything went right, how big could Bitcoin get? And earlier we were saying that the total global wealth is approximately 700 trillion. And Bitcoin, as just a great investable asset, it competes with all those things. So it competes with gold. It competes with government bonds. It competes with even the stock market. What's funny is you can even think about it as competing with real estate, because a lot of real estate are they go buy oceanfront property, not because they want to go to the ocean all year, but because it's a great investment.
We were just talking with Andrew Ryan, a chartered financial analyst, about how Bitcoin could potentially get to $10 million a coin. And so I just got to say, this is a potential. And again, I was talking about, hey, we have these different asset classes. Bitcoin's young. Cryptocurrency is young. We're at $2 trillion market cap right now. Bitcoin's going to be eating a lot of that pie. So, in your opinion, is it unreasonable, again, to expect this?
Well, so the total global wealth is around 700 trillion. It's for lots of reasons. It's not too hard to imagine Bitcoin having a market cap of 210 trillion, and when you divide that by the 21 million Bitcoin, you get $10 million per Bitcoin, and it's because it is a superior savings technology. It's superior in so many ways. It's superior to gold. It's superior to bonds. And it has better returns than equities. The S&P 500 in the last decade, its total return was 15%. Bitcoin's was 108. Right. And when that compounds, it's almost astronomical. And I see no reason that's going to stop this decade.
Well, as we continue this conversation on the moon, I'm going to bring Eric out from orbit. Eric, my co-host, sorry for forgetting about you here, buddy.
No, it's
but
all right.
we've talked a lot about inflation and fiat currencies, how they have to continue to print, they have to continue to do more debt. So I have a quick question, Andrew. Is this a hyperinflation scenario?
It doesn't have to be. I think Bitcoin's going to be successful even if the U.S. government behaves itself. And I think there's just structural problems in the global financial system that's happening, and Bitcoin is superior. I think it's inevitable.
And so once again, Andrew, you're not just a guy that has a podcast or a YouTube video or anything like that. This is you. Money's what you do for a living, right?
Yeah, I'm a day trader, and this is my first time on radio. So I'm So
you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Doing good. You probably hear some of these questions. You're thinking by 2025 where we're looking at something crazy. What do you think as far as just when you look at all the information that you have to share? How free are you with your opinions, Twitter, stuff like that?
Well, I'm not on Twitter too often. Okay. My handle is ACRyan7. It's ACRYAN7. But if people want to find me, the best place is on the Facebook group Tulsa Bitcoin Meetup. Yeah.
And is that that's facebook.com/ or is there a URL?
Yeah, just search.
Just search for
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
see, look, I'm being so old school here.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So my question for you is, what's next? Like, where should we be looking by the end of 2021? Like adoption rates and things like that. What are your opinions?
Well, today's been talking about the far future, so this is not going to happen next year or in a few years. But the total addressable market for Bitcoin, basically, the sky is the limit for the transformation of the financial system that Bitcoin could bring, because it's just so superior. When you really start studying it, you will find that it's an amazing technology.
Right. Well, and do you have any meetups that you're going to be planning here next month?
I should have had something. I don't right now, but we will plan something next month for sure.
Is that something that you work with Charlie on?
Yes. Okay. So Charlie can maybe keep everyone up to date.
Yeah, so I would highly encourage anybody that's listening, if you want to come meet us, talk to us in person, ask questions, you can, go to my website, mattjmoore.com. You can set up a consultation. You can send me an email. You can ask questions. But most importantly, coming to the Bitcoin meetups that we will talk about regularly are important, because you can meet us face to face, and that's where the community is built.
Yeah, and again, if you're looking to maybe hop in here a little bit more, I encourage you to reach out to Matt. If it's just for a conversation, if you are a massive pessimist and you're thinking that this is probably just as a bunch of what's hocus
Baloney.
pocus, baloney, something like that. And so you want to drill Matt with the hard questions. Again, he doesn't state that he is a financial analyst or anything like that, but this is something that Matt has poured. You've poured your heart into, and so you want to be able to. The education factor is why we do the show, right?
Right.
That's why we've continued to do it, and then also don't forget, if you're thinking, hey, I want to learn and maybe hang out in Miami, we're going to have a code coming on the website here before too long, 10% off of the tickets for Bitcoin Miami.
And that's not Miami. That's actually Miami.
Miami, Florida.
So, right. It's going to be a blast. You definitely want to join us. But again, it's mattjmoore.com. And Andrew, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. I just love your philosophical thought process. I mean, again, this is what excites me about it. This is why I do this, because I think we have a real opportunity in humanity. Because blockchain technology, again, I've said it many times, can either liberate or oppress, and it's all in what we adopt. It's all in what we accept and understand. And we want to keep people safe. We want to educate people. And you actually give out a book or sell a book regularly, don't you?
Yeah, well, I wanted to mention that there's a book called The Bitcoin Standard, which is a play on the words of gold standard. It's on Amazon at $16. It changed how I see this. I recommend it, highly recommend it to anyone who really wants to dive deep. It's 300 pages, the Bitcoin Standard.
All right. Thank you very much, Andrew Ryan. Thanks, of course, to Eric and Matt, the whole gang. We'll be back next week with more of cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We'll have some more excitement, I'm sure, and we'll be just that much closer to the moon by then. So looking forward to it. And we'll see you right here on KRMG next Sunday for cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Have a great week.